Start broadcasting. There. Okay, let's move that over and go to Canvas. So last couple of times I taught this class, I did it in MyOpenMath, which was the homework system we used through Canvas. This is the first time I've tried this course in Canvas, kind of like you guys with Math 62. That was a work in progress also. So as of now, you should see there's a Math 92 Quantlet with Gary Parker in your Canvas area. And it's got similar links to before. We get the link to the workbook at the top. You can grab any of the worksheets there, or I can print them for you. For days you can't make it, I have a link to two things here. The first link is my Google Plus page. So what I'll do is anytime I'm doing a live recording, which is pretty much every day in class, I'll immediately post it to my Google Plus page. So all you have to do is go into your Google account, click that link, and it'll say, hey, Gary's live now. And you can get in that way. Otherwise, if you're not here, and I know you're not going to be here, I'll just invite you through your email address. So like Emily said, she might have a hard time getting here. Daisy's in Hermiston. So those guys for sure I'll invite. And right now, I think we're just missing Robert. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's 8 people in the class this term. So we have a nice small class, slightly smaller than last term, unfortunately. And then the other thing here is the playlist. So as I record classes, they'll all go automatically into the playlist here. So if you miss a class, you can go there and see what went on. Okay, let's see what else. Back home. I would, way back in the beginning of the course, there was a thing we read about writing, about quantitative literacy, and you guys got better and better at writing throughout the term. Elena, it's been a while since you took the first part. And so please reread the writing about quantitative literacy, understanding visual displays of information, and self-regulated learning. I'm rebuilding some assignments about the 3 parts of self-regulated learning: plan, work, and reflect. And in the you guys were funny. I'll just share some information about all of you with no names in particular. In the beginning of the term, you're all hesitant to write stuff. Although when I asked you to think about how do you feel about this material, do you feel ready for it after the prep? In the beginning, you're all like, oh yeah, this, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of it, you were like, people just put text in there like, huh, or random keystrokes. And so I would like you to take those writing things seriously. I do read them. So again, we're just going to reflect back on that. So toward the end of the week, I'll have these assignments posted. Right now, they're grayed out because they're hidden from you. But for now, what's that?
I always put some sort of answer in it. It's always had like something to do with the math. I think I want to put the same answer on each one. Like I would type an answer out for the plan, and then like I would change a few words for the work.
Yeah, they're all pretty similar. I mean, it's a cyclical thing, the plan, the work, and the reflect. It's all kind of a process that you do together. But we're just going to revisit that. So by Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to come back to talk about these in class together. And I'm still working about what I want you guys to write about and think about for those 3. So they're hidden right now from you. You'll see them in the calendar, but they won't be available for another day or so because I'm still working on them. Otherwise, what you'll see in here is where I just snipped off the beginning of Module 2. You probably finished Module 2, but it's been a while, so it'd be good to review it, Elena. So we're going to start off today. We'll do a couple of the prep problems in class, but mainly we're going to work on the worksheet. Yeah, same setup as last time. So each week, each lesson will be a prep, a lesson, and a homework. And then the lessons will either be worth 15 points because there's a file for you to submit. We're going to do a little bit more spreadsheets this term than last term. If there's no spreadsheet, it's just worth 10 points. So the lessons are 10 or 15. And then there's just going to be 2 exams. There'll be 1 exam after we finish Module 3, and then there'll be a final exam at the end of the term. So pretty low on the exams. It's mostly just doing work together. Okay. So otherwise, it's going to be pretty similar. I'm going to try and get us to do more group work than we did last time, and which means I'm going to need some help interacting with Daisy online. And so I'll assign Emily for sure for now, and then we'll probably throw another person in there too. Okay, So is there anything else I need to mention about the course? It's a work in progress. I haven't put this stuff in Canvas before. So there is a calendar of events for this class. Things are going to get shuffled around a little bit more. These are my best guesses as to when we're going to do stuff. I made the beginning of the course a little bit heavy in getting stuff done in case we have snow days at some point. We'll move stuff around, and the end of the quarter, it gets lighter. Notice there's only one thing a day later on and into the end of the quarter. So I'm hoping we'll be able to finish everything this term. If we miss a section, no big whoop, but there's less sections in modules 3 and 4 than there were in 1 and 2, so we're pretty likely to finish everything. But this will shift a little bit. Okay, let's go back to the course. And let me grab those printouts for y'all. Looks like I didn't grab them yet. So we're going to play around with the idea of an average. Grab my printouts. There they are. All right, who needs a printout? Almost everybody. There we go. Good to have it here. So you guys know each other? Yeah. Oh, good. All right, so let's get this magic whiteboard up and running. Straight. A little better. All right, looks like it might work today. All right. Let's see, what else do I need? I am going to need a spreadsheet. And then we might break a little early to get to the lab. If not, for sure, we'll go to the computer lab tomorrow and build spreadsheets.
Should take a test to see how much she needs. She's going over to transfer for college this term, and she had to do it on a spreadsheet. And she was like, I haven't done this in a long time. I don't know what I'm doing on something. One time I knew it, and she.
So now you know more than she does about spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this section, the big ideas are called measures of central tendency. Whoa. Slow down. So measures of central tendency are calculations we do in statistics. Statistics is about playing with data. And we've been doing lots of playing with data over the last term, so we're going to do a few different things this term. Data, for example, could be ages. 19, 20, 23, 18, 27. Okay. Data could be something like gender, male, female, female, male, male. Could be something like Oliver. blue, green. Could be something like a student number or a social security number. There's all different kinds of data that we can collect. Sometimes data is numerical. That's mostly what we care about right now. Numerical data also called quantitative. It's usually some kind of measurement. So age is a measurement. It's the amount of time that's elapsed since you were born, right? And that could be measured in years. It could be measured in days. It could be measured in months. So for example, when I print out the roster for this class, it tells me what your birthday is. Right? And then on the spreadsheet, I can tell the computer to take today's date and subtract the date you were born. And what it gives me back is a big number, the number of days since you were born until today. I can then divide that by 365 and get your age in years. So numerical stuff I can play around with on a spreadsheet. Not everything that's a number is numerical though. Okay? So there are types of numerical or quantitative data that's called nominal. Nominal data are things like your social security number, your student number, your zip code. Okay, social security number, something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Student number 9952314. Zip code 97801. That's this one. I grew up in Rhode Island. 02917. So would it make sense for me to take all of your ages, there's 8 of you, add them up and divide by 8? Would that give me any reasonable number? Take all your ages, add them up, divide by 8. What's that give me? Gives me the average age, right? So on average, I can say, yeah, people in this class, they're about 21, for example. Would it make sense for me to take all your student numbers, add them up, and divide by 8? Give me something useful. So maybe take all your zip codes, add them up, divide by 8. Right? So just because something's a number doesn't mean we can do calculations with it. So we got to pay attention when we're collecting data. Is the data we collected really numerical, some kind of measurement, or is it just a name we give to something and we use digits instead of letters for that name? Like think about a zip code for a minute. This one's fine when I type it into a spreadsheet, but when I type this one into a spreadsheet, what's the spreadsheet going to do with that? Is it going to change it at all? It's going to ditch that 0 in front, right? Because the spreadsheet thinks it's all digits, it's a number, but it's really not. It's a name of something, and that leading 0 is important. Okay? So we're playing around with spreadsheets, when we're playing around with statistics, doing calculations, we do want to double check, and most of the time it's going to be pretty darn obvious if something is a number or something is a name. But these are just names using digits. Other kinds of data, and we can do a little bit of statistics on these, but not always. Qualitative. So qualitative are things like your gender, male, female, something else. Things like color. I can collect that information. I can make charts with it. That's kind of a mathematical thing, right? Organizing that information. I can say which color is most popular, right? And I can say, for example, like which age is more common at a college. Those are kind of similar things to do. One's with numbers, one's with colors. But it wouldn't make sense. I can't like add up colors and find the average color, can I? Unless you take physics now, right? In physics, they make colors numerical, like wavelengths of light. But for us non-physics people, we can't really do much with it. Average gender? Doesn't really make much sense. So just because we collect data doesn't mean we can calculate it. There's some calculate on it. There's some types of calculations that work with numbers and only numbers. Mostly we're going to play with the next two sections with quantitative data, not qualitative data. All right. So measures of center. Refer to numerical types of data, and there's three kinds of measures of center. There's mean, median, and mode. Actually, I should be a little more clear. There's three types of measures of center that we will look at. There are many other ways to try and measure the center of a group of numbers. There's different kinds of means. We're going to do what's called the arithmetic mean or arithmetic mean. Usually when we use the word average, that's what we mean. Add them up, divide by how many. Okay, I'll write that down more carefully. Median is the number in the middle when the numbers are ordered. So I got to put them in order. Once they're in order, I try to grab that middle number. Mode is the most frequently occurring. When we make charts, sometimes we group numbers. We played around with histograms a little bit. Sometimes it's the most frequently occurring group. Like for example, at a college, there's more people in their 20s than there are in their 30s. So people in their 20s would be the mode of college students. But you could also break it down to a specific age. Like there's more people that are 20 than 21, for example. Okay. So these are three ways to talk about center. Now, these two really are more to do with center. The mode, if there's more 20-year-olds or more 18-year-olds, that can shift where the center is. Okay. So the mode actually doesn't give us the center, but it does affect the center if there is a mode. Sometimes there's no mode. Is everyone in this class exactly the same age? Or anybody? No, you're all a day apart or so. Maybe no, it's unlikely anyone's born on the same day. So sometimes there is no mode. There is no most frequently occurring thing. But there's always a mean. There's always a median. All right, so mean, AKA average. The average is always the sum divided by the count. Sum, add them all up, and we count how many. We do that division, and we get average. Median is kind of straightforward, but not. It depends on the group of numbers you have. So if we had 1, 3, 5, 9, and 17, they're in order. The number in the middle is 5, so it's got to be my median. If we had 1, 3, 9, and 11, let's go with 17 again. There's 4 numbers there. There is no middle number. So if there's an even amount of numbers, then you always average the middle 2. So 3 and 9 divided by 2 gives me what? 12 over 2. So 6 would be the median because it's right in between 3 and 9, those two middle numbers. And spreadsheets are nice because you just type, I want the median, and it'll look at your list and figure out whether it needs to grab the middle number, or if there's no middle number, average the middle 2 numbers. It'll automatically sort the list out. So we'll play around with that too in a moment. Median and mean aren't necessarily the same. So whip out your calculators. Everyone's got a calculator somewhere nearby. Find me the average of this first group here. The median is 5. Because they're in order, I can just look and see it because it's a small set. Yeah. 7? Okay, that's what I was guessing it was. It's going to be a little bigger than 5 because that 17 is dragging stuff to the right. It's pretty big compared to the other numbers. Anybody else get 7 on that? Okay. So the average here is 7. So that's because the data is spread out a little more to the right side here. So that 17 drags it away. So why would we choose like median to find the middle? Because sometimes when you listen to the news and they're talking about like average home price or average income, things like that, sometimes they say the average is, but other times they say the median. Have you ever noticed that word in the news sometimes? Median house price in some area is whatever. Why, over the next 2 sections, we're going to try and figure out why we would choose to use the median to represent the middle instead of the average to represent the middle. Median versus mean. They're both important. They both tell us about the middle. Neither one tells a complete picture. It's just kind of a summary of the data.
Buying a house, you're going to want to show the smaller one.
If it comes to buying a house, you're going to want to show the smaller
Like,
of the two.
Yeah, you're trying to price it, you want to show the smaller.
Because people want a smaller price for the house.
Yeah.
Could that be misleading, though, to people? Yeah. So it kind of depends on, you might, we're all biased. Whenever we do something, we're always biased. And so here you're biasing, like, I'd like to see, I want to buy a house, I want to see the smaller price. Okay, yeah. On the other hand, most of these are closer to 7, right? It's just this one right here is kind of outside compared to the other ones. So we're not going to talk technically about what it means to be like unusually weird compared to the other numbers. That's a topic we'll look at a little bit in Math 105, or if you guys go on to statistics, we'll look at there. Like, how do you calculate if something is an outlier? Unusually high or unusually low. But it turns out median is kind of unaffected by things that are unusually high or unusually low. But the average, because we added them up, is highly affected by things that are unusually high or unusually low. Yeah, so that's something to consider. Robert, you're live. Welcome.
Flat tires.
Ah, that sucks. At least there's not a bunch of snow to have to change a flat in. All right, so let's take a look at our worksheet, see where we're at. Got that here somewhere.
You have a worksheet?
Yes, do you want one?
Yes, please.
We are starting off at the end of chapter 2 where we left off, 2:9. And somehow I lost my page. Come on. That one. That one. Did I really delete it? I did. Okay. Get it back. Section 2:9. Worksheets. All right, so here are some pictures of data on a number line just to kind of get the idea going. And so I'll let you guys read through that on your own later. There's no point in me reading that to you. Mean, remember, is just another word for average. Not everybody uses the word average in the same way. But I think most of us, how many people, when I say the word average, think of add them up, divide by how many? Does anyone not think that when I say average? Okay. It turns out the word average is not uniformly used that way, but I think most people use it that way. Medium is when we set them in order. mode is the most frequently occurring. All right. So in just a second, I'm going to have you guys group up and start talking to each other about questions 1 and 2. Before that, I want to get my spreadsheet back open because I just want to demo doing a couple of calculations in spreadsheets. All right, so let's suppose I have ages, and we have, say, 18, 25, 19, 26, 17, sure, 26, 18. So they're not in order right now, but what I could do is I could ask the computer to give me the median. So remember, anytime we use a spreadsheet, we want to throw labels in so we know what we're looking at. And to do a calculation, I type equals, and then I start typing MED, and the computer says, hey, do you want the median value of the numeric data set? Sure. In Excel, you have to hit Tab to have it complete that, or you can double click on it and it'll bring it up. And then it'll try to describe it to you, what it's going to do. And sometimes those are clear and sometimes not. So here it just says basically highlight your data. And what the computer is going to do is it's going to set them in order, not actually sort them for you, and it's going to find the one in the middle. And so it's telling me here it's going to end up being 19. Now, notice the way I've typed them here, the middle number is in between the 17 and the 19, but these numbers aren't in order. Okay. Often what I'll do on the data set, if it's small, I'll tell the computer to sort them for me. So I could highlight this column, go to data. I think we looked at this briefly last term, didn't we? And here, usually sort sheet can be kind of dangerous, and so can sort range. I like to go to this option right here for sort range. I highlighted that it has a header, a title, and then I can say, hey, sort A to Z, smallest to largest, or Z to A, largest to smallest. There are 7 items, so there is a middle one. Yep, it is 19. Okay. So when you use the median command, you don't have to sort them manually or tell the computer to sort them. It automatically does that in its little brain and tells you what one's in the middle. Same idea if you want to calculate the average. You don't have to count them. It does all of that for you. Just take equals, start typing average, and then pick the one that you want. There's a couple of different versions of average. Average A is the numerical average in a data set. That's a little different to average. Average ignores text. So for example, if I said find the average and I highlighted the word age too, it would ignore age. If I choose the average A option, it will treat any text as a 0, which will totally screw things up. Okay, so you want to be careful which ones you use. Generally, the average is pretty safe to use. Highlight your numbers, close your parentheses, and we can get the average out of it. We're going to play with that for question 3 in just a little bit. So for now, let's see. Emily, could you get on your computer and we'll see if we can connect you to Daisy. And I'm going to invite you to this Google session. Let's see. Select your email address first. For the rest of you, start reading through question 1. And then you all have a neighbor. I want you to talk to your neighbor about the answer. Daisy, we will get you a neighbor in a minute. So if you go into the Canvas course, I'll show you that link that'll get you into the session. agenda. Okay, so go to the YouTube and Google Hangouts. And Google Plus page is where you can join the live session. Here it should say that like 2 day one. You can just click there. It should ask you. I should see it pop up on my screen here. Come on. Oh, it's because you're using Edge or Internet Explorer. Yeah, so you have to install the plugin or you have to use it. Is that the plugin? So to answer some of those questions, there's some information you need on the previous page also. Did you get in? Not yet. Okay. Oh, it just okay. So that installed the plugin. So now we need to get in. So let's see. I think we need to re-click that to go back one tab, and now click that again. You need to mute your mic when you're not talking. Yeah. So this says, hey, you have to join. Join. All right. So mute your mic. We needed just speakers there. Here. All right. All right. So you can, and let's see, you can chat with Daisy here by just bringing the chat box over there, and then you can type stuff over here. So just shoot her hello. Daisy. And then you can unmute your speaker, and this mic will also pick you up. So if you want to talk to her, my mic instead of yours. Oh, apparently it doesn't like that. Okay, I have my speaker here. All right, so keep your speaker off too. Dangers of multiple computers in the same room on the same session. Oh, and you can turn your camera off if you don't want to make yourself visible there. So if you just here, there you go. All right, so you guys are awfully quiet. I hope you find a reason to talk to your neighbor soon. That button right there. So what is the average number of credit cards per person according to the data? Average number per household, check with your partner. Did you get a different answer than 3.7 for the first part? If so, why?
I'm not sure how to get it. I know that I know it's 1/3 because it says it's 1/3 of 300 million. But I'm not sure how you can find that. I'm pretty sure. It says
This is 600 million. But
it's 1/3 of adults surveyed to their household carries credit card debt.
it doesn't. There's 300 million today. Million credit cards.
And the breakdown
No, it's just 600 million credit cards. No, 100 million households.
they are 3,000.
Divided by the count.
So,
I don't know. Just trying to do it papers.
The sum divided by the count. Is the count 1/3?
So a count is the number of things we're looking at. So what are we trying to find the average of?
The first
Number
one's
of
the
credit
average number of credit cards per person.
Yeah, average number of credit cards per person. So some people have no credit cards, some people have one credit card, some people have 5 credit cards. So what we want to do is add up all of the credit cards in the United States,
Which is 600 million,
which is 600 million, and divide by all of the people in the United States,
which is 300 million.
which is 300 million. Yeah, so we want to take the 600 for the first part, we want to take 600 million and divide by 300 million. And that'll give us the
okay.
average number of cards per person in the US.
Question two.
I was missing 600 million.
Is that right?
Yeah, that would be right.
Now, this is kind of nice because they're both in the millions, so the millions is going to divide out. They're both in the hundreds, so the hundreds will divide out. 3 goes into 6 twice. Anyone get 2 credit cards per person? And last term, we talked about, remember the whole, the percent of women who smoke versus the percentage of smokers who are women? Same group of women, but when we change the audience, it changes the percentage. And so that's what's going on here with parts A and part B. If we look at households instead of people, like for example, my wife and I share a card. It's the same number. There's one in her name and there's one in my name, but they're really the same account. Okay. So that's like cards per household. And then in part B, they say card holders. Okay, so that's different. My sister does not have a credit card. Okay, she doesn't need one. I have too many, right? So my sister's not going to be in the count here because she is not a card holder, right? So we have a different audience that we're looking at when we talk about the average. So in this one right here, it says the average number of cards per card holder, that's 3.7. So why is the 2 cards per person different than the 3.7 cards per person? Anybody want to take a stab at answering that?
Because not everyone has credit cards.
Yeah, not everyone has a credit card. So the people that don't have credit cards, we don't care about them when we're talking about card holders. They're not a card holder.
So then
So we're
what's,
talking about people that have 1 or more credit cards.
so the average number of credit cards per household?
That's going to be a different number too, right?
Yeah,
Because how many households are estimated to be in the US?
the 100 million.
100 million.
100 million? Oh yeah, right there. So that would be red. Lots of information here. Yeah, so for the red one, we're going to take these, let's see, 600 million divided by 100 million households. So there we get an average of 6 cards per person. Right, so that one looks different too. Does it make sense that that number should also be different than the credit cards per card holder, that 3.7?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a different group, households versus everybody in the US versus only people that have cards. Are these all right in their own way? Like none of these numbers is like deceiving or wrong, is it? We have the average number of cards per person in the US, it's about 2. We also have the average number of cards per card holder, or the average number of cards per household. They just numbers that answer different questions. Okay, so there's just different ways to throw numbers together. So in some sense, the idea of average is very straightforward. Add them up, divide by how many. But oftentimes we need a different how many depending on the audience that we're talking about. And they're just different possible audiences. All right.
It doesn't give you an accurate number though, like when you get down to say 2C, where it starts to talk about 45% of households, credit cards, carry no debt. And those are counted against, it throws your number off. If you're looking for average, you should just be using, not everybody, but just the 55% that carry no debt to get the average.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. So yeah, when you're talking about average, yeah, when you're asking a question, if the question is clear, there's going to be a most appropriate audience, right? Just the people that have debt, forget about the people that don't have debt. Like, is it fair to say, my daughters share my debt with me?
No,
Some people would say, yeah,
unless you're
they're
dead.
part of your family, they're responsible for your debt too. Other people say, no, they didn't get a choice on that debt. That's mine, not theirs. Right? So usually there is a best answer for what's the audience to use in trying to find some kind of average. And sometimes it can be fuzzy, depending on the way someone asks the question. Yeah, so take a look at question 2, and then we'll be just about out of time for fun with statistics today. Check with your neighbor. All right, so we're gonna finish this up tomorrow. I just want to show you something here. Just kind of playing around, just to get another way to think about what average means. So the question you were just looking at was about debt. We'll troubleshoot that question tomorrow. So let's suppose there's a group of 8 people and they have the debts I have listed here. Somebody owes 10, somebody owes 5, somebody owes 3, 6, 20, somebody owes nothing, somebody owes 5, somebody owes 7. So I asked the computer to say, hey, what's the average of that list of debts? Computer says the average is 7. Computer says the sum is 56. So it's 56 divided by 8. 7 on a good day, right? Okay. So, so let's suppose the person that has no debt feels bad for the person that has a debt of 20. And say, I want to help you out and share some of your debt. And then everybody else in the room says, yeah, let's kind of make the playing field a little more equal. It seems pretty unfair that you owe more than me. Right? If that was the case, how much would each person owe?
The same.
The same amount. What amount would that be? 7, yeah. Okay. Another way to think about it is, let's suppose these were the amount of money people have in their pocket right now. Some people are rich, some people are poor. If we wanted to redistribute the wealth of these 8 people, people that have a lot would give some money that people have, everybody has the same amount. So if I gave everybody 7, whether that's a debt or the amount you have, and then I found the average and the sum, they should be, oops, I went the wrong way. They should be exactly the same. So average is the amount that you could redistribute so that everybody has exactly the same. That's another way to think about average. A redistribution of debt, a redistribution of wealth, a redistribution of whatever, but it equalizes everybody. Okay. All right, that's it for now. Take a look at the website soon. Take a look at some more of this stuff. Prep for 2.9 is due tonight. Take a look at it, please. Get it started. If you have questions, we'll go over them tomorrow. Thank you for playing online, Emily. I appreciate that.